Hi, this is Doug Ward from Tech Britain. We're in Tech Tropicana space, which is just in the Birmingham Science Park. I'm here with Alex Major from Hobzy. Thank you for your time, Alex.
No problem.
Just like to let our viewers know about yourself first, that'd be cool.
So my background's in internet and tech companies. Started playing games when I was much younger online. Multiplayer online games were just starting to really take off. Started playing games and made friends online, and then started building websites so that we could get together after games, forums, that kind of thing. Just evolved from there into making websites for friends and family, and then wider, and then went to university, did computing for business degree, saw both sides of the table of building cool products but also having something behind the product to really earn a living from. And now I'm on my second startup. So the startup's called Hobzy. We're building a platform for people to share their hobby online and make new friends based around their hobby. Awesome. We launched last September. We're up to about 14,500 users, and it's really been surprising the kind of things people have as hobbies, and also the variety of people we've got on board.
A quick example, maybe?
Over 80% of our users are outside of Europe and North America.
Wow.
So companies, when we launched last September, the uprising was happening in Egypt, and Cairo was our single biggest source of traffic. Over 20% of our users came from Cairo.
That's a statistic.
And for example, we've got a lady in Vietnam who makes craft objects from ostrich eggs. We've got a lady in Thailand who knits bikinis. I don't know how practical that is, but she's got a massive collection of them. We've got a Justin Bieber fan club. It's really kind of strange.
But awesome at the same time, yeah?
Yeah.
So, we were speaking earlier off camera about Hobzy wasn't the original idea when you went to Oxygen Accelerator.
Yeah, so we went to Oxygen Accelerator last September, and we had started a product earlier in the year called Host My Portfolio in our spare time, and we'd got 2,500 users. We thought we were doing really well. Professional product aimed at professional market. You know, they spend thousands of pounds a year on cameras and filters and films and accessories, so we thought a subscription service for them to manage their online portfolios were onto a winner. Sat down with the great mentors at Oxygen, and they essentially tore the business model apart, and we were then a bit deflated, and we were like, well, what else should we do? And so we kind of looked at what we'd built, and we built a platform that allowed people to bring content from Flickr, from Facebook, from YouTube, from Picasso, all of these places where people have their photos online, and allowed them to publish them as one collection. And we looked at different markets where that was a problem, and one of the mentors said that his wife was having issues with her knitting and crochet. Other mentors had other hobbies that kind of they felt it would help with, and so we moved away from Host My Portfolio, although the website's still running, and we moved on to Hobzy. And in the space of 3 weeks, we went from having no idea what we were going to do to launching Hobzy.
And the users?
The users, we had 11,000 users register in the first 10 days.
Which compared to the guys at the Accelerator were right.
Exactly. It was frustrating because we were just like, we're on top of the world with 2,500 users, completely organic on Host My Portfolio in a relatively short space of time, and them going, no, it's not good enough, it's not exciting, and then kind of being pushed and coming up with something that was obviously better.
So can we call that a pivot?
We can.
Yeah, and I mean that's got to be tough. I mean, the lean startup's superb.
Yeah.
Actually doing the principles is the tough part, right?
It's understanding, not getting too caught up in what you're doing. I mean, even within Host My Portfolio, we would be launching features that we thought were going to go down really well, and they went down like lead balloons. And then it's the simple things that you change, the position of buttons, so it makes it less of a mouse movement for someone to go change pages to add an effect to an image. Those are the things that people actually really appreciate, and so definitely being metric driven has been something that we're much more aware of on Hobzy, and also spending much less time on each individual component. You know, it doesn't. If you spend 6 months building something, then when people don't like it, it's really difficult to change. But when you launch small things iteratively, your personal investment in, you know, that's my baby, is much less, and so it's much easier to make objective decisions.
Fantastic. And how was the experience of being in the Accelerator?
It was definitely intense. Before Oxygen, we were essentially camping in the Entrepreneurs for the Future Centre at the Science Park, and I mean, we thought we were doing long hours. We were coming in at 10 and, you know, working through till 8, 9 o'clock. The Accelerator, for most of the time, we would sleep over. Overnight, we'd be working, you know, from 7, 8 a.m. right through, going to sleep at 3 a.m. and then waking back up with sleeping bags and bean bags. Eventually got told not to do that anymore, health and safety and all that lovely stuff. But it was definitely a busy time, but also very exciting.
Fantastic. And anybody who's out there, would you recommend the experience?
Definitely. You definitely need to be prepared for it, because the teams that got most out of it were the ones that had the ability to put most in. Some of the people on there, for family reasons or work reasons, or the work, weren't able to kind of put as much in, and so they didn't get as much benefit out. You just have to be prepared to go to your friends. I'm not available for the next, you know, however long the Accelerator is. I need to do this, but you'll get so much out of it.
Awesome. And I guess this would move us on to Birmingham's tech community.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're in Tech Tropicana. Can you let our viewers know what it is to start with? That'd be great.
Sure. So Tech Tropicana is it's similar to Tech Hub in London and some of the other co-working spaces that are starting up around. When we finished Oxygen, we wanted some cool office space, somewhere that we enjoyed spending the vast majority of our day, and it's just not commonplace, you know, even having access to a kitchen, to a shower, those kind of facilities. Most office space isn't built for that, and so we wanted somewhere that we could work with other companies, because we didn't want to just go off somewhere and there are a couple of isolated places around Birmingham, but it just doesn't have the same feel as when you're working with, you know, 4, 5, 6 other companies who are doing the same hours as you. It makes putting that effort in so much easier when you have got people working around you and supporting you. So Tech Tropicana is the space that we want to build to work in, that we hope other startups will want to as well. We're focused around tech startups. As you can see, it's still very much a work in progress. We're building it ourselves in our spare time. We're doing from 8, 9 o'clock in the morning till 8, 9 o'clock at night on our main company Hobzy, and then in the evenings and spare time, we're kind of doing the floor, painting, ripping down ceilings. Can tell you all about 3-phase power supplies for machines, and, you know, just silly things that we should never know about, but we've had to learn.
Yeah. I mean, speaking off camera, the pain and suffering that's already gone into this place means that you're going to do a great job. I mean, you're not going to let it.
No, I mean, it's been 8 weeks so far, several hundred hours of time. There's Hobzy in here, and then there's 2 other companies, Bertie and Bean and Be Hiring. We've put money in, we've had help from the Science Park, both some financial and also their staff have been very helpful in, they've got on-site electricians and people that are just more than willing to come and help us. It's been very supportive, and, you know, in 3 or 4 weeks when it's finished, fingers crossed, it'll be really exciting.
What can people expect if they come down here? Is anybody allowed to walk in? Has that been figured out yet? Or
so we want to be focused around tech, but This area down here is going to be hot desking. I'm sure we'll do a tour around later. We've got some individual offices around. There's 5 offices, and we'll have about 30 co-working desks, as well as a communal meeting room, communal ideas space, kitchen, showers, picnic area. We're right next to a canal, so you can literally outside the windows you can see the canal. Just walk down the canal path. We have barbecues out there. It's just somewhere that a lot of productive hard work's done, but also you get the fun side of it as well.
I must say to the viewers, it is very nice. I do recommend definitely to come down here, and your plans for the space, which I look forward to sharing after the interview, it's fantastic. Just in case people don't have the time to see that, what can they expect of the space? Particulars.
So the hot desking, you can walk in, you can pay a very small fee just to come and use a desk for a day. You can pay for a week, you can pay for a month. You can use the meeting space, and we're going to be doing events in the evenings as well. So there's various Birmingham user groups that we're talking to, PHP, Ruby, Java, and also some of our own tech events we want to be hosting here. And it's just hopefully going to be we're not going to be the place, but certainly one of the places that people doing tech around Birmingham know to come to.
And some of the cool stuff that you're talking about planning on doing here is like the bean bags with the white paint walls. You can write on the walls.
Yeah, so we going around Google's offices in London. One of the things that we really liked is just that if you have an idea walking down the corridor, you can just write on the wall. You write the idea so you don't forget it. And so the walls are going to be whiteboard wall paint, so you can just use them as whiteboards right wherever you want, rub them off after if it's secret or sensitive. One of the rooms off here is quite dark, it's only got one window, and so that's going to be a little kind of nap area after you've had a big lunch or having worked kind of 24 hours. We quite often need a nap or a little kit. So hammocks, because we've got access to all of the structural metal, we can hang hammocks and that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, it's just a chilled out environment where you can come meet other people, bounce ideas off people. Everyone else in here will be doing tech startups focused around web and internet, and potentially even some of your customers, if you're building kind of technology, then it's a great place to come and bounce ideas off us with big kind of open source community.
I should say that you mentioned a potential basketball hoop and a foosball table. We want to hold you to that on camera because we think that's really cool.
There will definitely be a foosball table, a ping pong table, and basketball hoop up on the ceiling.
Awesome. And you're going to have a kitchen as well. I think that's important to mention.
Yeah, with the oven's the important bit as well. We've never seen an office. We went and saw many which had an oven, because obviously when you're working through 10, 11 o'clock at night, you can't then go home and eat because you're just not hungry then. And so just having access to a fridge, freezer, oven, hob, and being able to cook good meals instead of constant takeaways, it's important.
So in terms of Birmingham's tech community, what's your thoughts on it as a tech community? Do you think its strengths, what are they?
There's a lot of people trying to bring it together, and everybody around does care. Everybody knows the value of it. And I think that the biggest problem at the minute is that people feel the need to travel to London to the events going around London, mini bars, Silicon Mill roundabout, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are trying to change that perception and say, we can do that here, we've got the talent, we've got the people, we've got the community, let's do it. And kind of that's what we're kind of trying to help out with in our small kind of way here. They really do cross the tech spectrum as well. I mean, Birmingham has got the biggest gaming community, and my previous startup was digital online games, and the majority of the games industry in the UK is in the West Midlands. We've got incredibly talented developers, designers, and at the minute people go and work for banks, and people go and work at investment groups and all sorts in London, whereas actually it's about promoting the fact that working in startups is cool. It's not just minimal pay, it's not, you know, long hours. There's actually really positives to it. And so I think that's our focus at the minute, kind of trying to get the university students. Aston University is only over the road. We've got Birmingham, Coventry, Wolverhampton unis as well, all with very strong computing courses. Just trying to get kind of new people involved as people graduate from university, and then getting the bigger companies around involved. They've been incredibly successful at Science Park at doing that. We've had some of the biggest accountancy firms sponsor events, KPMG, Marks and Clerk, Mazars, big accountancy firm, and I think although it's a big challenge to get those kinds of people involved, they've actually been incredibly receptive, certainly more receptive than I would have ever expected.
Yeah, well, I think a few years back we might not have been as fashionable, and it seems to be like the government understands the importance now of the tech community.
Yeah.
What do you see as their role in all this?
I think their role is about promoting UK. I still think bringing the infrastructure as well. I think one of the biggest problems, you know, at home I can still only get half meg internet connection. It's just that some of the infrastructure is missing, but also one of the most destructive things I've experienced personally was the cutting of the regional development agencies. Advantage West Midlands, who were only based over there, used to help to fund the startup scene as well. A lot of digital companies, a lot of tech companies were funded through schemes that they ran. And I think the most destructive thing I saw was when the new government came in, got rid of the regional development agencies, and all that funding went, and literally in the course of a week it went from very promising startups being able to get funded to, for a good 6-8 months, there was just this hole of missing funding where angels and the wider network weren't really ready to pick up kind of the pieces. So the helping encourage angels, the new Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme, which was launched, has been very helpful. It's something that our investors have invested under. It was really encouraging. I mean, they get 50% of it written off against tax, and so although necessarily funding the schemes isn't government's role, certainly creating the employment law and the health and safety, working around here, the amount of forms we've had to fill out, boxes to tick, it's been really frustrating, and so kind of helping to get themselves out of the way, but also encourage private individuals on the investment side of things, I'd say was their most important role now.
And in terms of Birmingham's tech future, what would you like to see?
I think Birmingham's tech future is very positive, and I think it's going to grow much bigger over the next couple of years. I mean, I don't think Birmingham's the second city, but I don't think that our tech at the moment represents the second biggest area of tech in the UK. We've got Shoreditch in London, but that's really the heart of everything that happens here. Get the startups here. Once you encourage people to build new businesses here, creating cool space like this, then I think it'll be much easier. I mean, at the minute, you tell your parents you're going to go and start a startup, and it's just like, oh, all right, you're going to chill for the next kind of 2 years, do nothing with your life. And I think that kind of attitude will hopefully change as well.
Do you think that's going to change through success stories, or how do you think that's going to change?
I do think it will come through success, but the problem is we're still a couple of years away from that, because before you get the successes, you have the failures. I mean, I wasn't successful with my first startup. We weren't even successful with our first product. It's only through having a couple of failures, it's 2 years since I started trying to do my startups, that you get to the success. You see Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram, all these multi-billion dollar companies, and you think, wow, they got lucky. Whereas if you look at the history of them, they were going for many, many years, and their founders had a lot of failures. And so until that kind of mantra of encouraging people to do their own thing, unemployment's incredibly high at the minute. If people started trying to do their own thing, I'm sure that would help. Then there's just not going to be the second phase of success, and that's probably the biggest concern.
Which you see over in the States, that circle effect of guys failing and eventually making it and putting it back into the system.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And for Hobzy, where can viewers find out about that?
So we're online at hobzy.com,
That's simple.
or just Google searches. We run TechCrunch and the Next Web, so there's kind of a gluttony of Google information there. Or you can come and visit us. We've got an open door policy. We're very happy to talk to anyone. So yeah, just get in touch.
And what about Tech Tropicana? Where can people find out? Barring Tech Britain, obviously.
Yeah. We're at Tech Tropicana on Twitter. The website's being launched either later today or tomorrow, which will be techtropicana.com. So just tweet us or go on the website.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a real pleasure.
No problem.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.